So what if I told you that great leaders don't just inspire once, they remind constantly, and that clarity isn't achieved through a single powerful speech, but through strategic repetition, and that your real title as a leader isn't just CEO, director, or manager, it's Chief Reminding Officer. Because in a world filled with distractions, your job isn't just to communicate, it's to cut through the noise again and again and again until your message sticks. Hey everyone, my name is Seth Yelorda, and I'm a speaker, coach, and consultant. I work with organizations and individuals to help them achieve their personal and professional goals. And today we're diving into a surprising truth backed by decades of research in organizational psychology and cognitive science. Now, I think it was Patrick Lencioni who popularized the term Chief Reminding Officer, but it is really rooted and baked into organizational psychology. See, if you want your team to understand and to align and to act on your vision, you can't just say it once. You have to say it again and again and again until it becomes part of the culture. And there is a science behind repetition. Now, let's look at it. Psychologists Boaz Kesar and Dale Barr discovered something called the illusion of transparency. It means that we assume people understand what we simply mean because it's clear in our heads. But in reality, most messages are misunderstood and half heard or forgotten. That's why Chip and Dan Heath, in their research on why ideas stick, found that sticky messages require multiple exposures before people truly internalize them. And social psychologist Robert Zojak called this the mere exposure effect. The more often people hear something, the more familiar and credible it feels. Now, we see this happening in Washington and in politics, where certain politicians will repeat the same message over and over and over again. And while you might reject it at first because you know it's not true, over time, because it becomes so familiar, the credibility of it starts to feel as though it's true. Well, in a world overloaded with information, repetition isn't annoying, it's necessary. And here's the hard truth. George Miller's research showed that the human brain can only hold about 7 things in their working memory at a time, 7. So your people aren't ignoring you, they're just overloaded between emails and deadlines and personal worries. Your vision is fighting for limited mental space. And so even if you said it clearly once, it's buried under 1,000 other inputs by Tuesday afternoon. Amy Edmondson's work on psychological safety adds another layer. She says people rarely admit that they're confused. They nod, they smile, they may even move on, even though they're unclear. It's what communication scholars call the understanding illusion. Everyone thinks they're on the same page until execution starts. John Carter found that most leaders undercommunicate their vision by a factor of 10. Not because they don't care, but because they assume understanding after 1 or 2 reminders. Now, you can't just announce clarity. You have to reinforce it. And you do it through a couple steps. Step number 1, you have to develop your core narrative. You see, a chief reminding officer isn't just about being repetitive or robotic. It starts with a clear, consistent narrative. As leadership scholar Stephen Denning notes, stories create coherence. If you distill your vision into 3 simple, memorable themes, like your refrains, repeat those everywhere in staff meetings, emails, even hallway chants. If your message can't fit on a sticky note, it won't stick in your team's mind. Step number 2, vary the medium, not the message. Change the channel, not the content. Alan Pavo's dual coding theory shows that when people process ideas both visually and verbally, retention skyrockets. So instead of saying the same words over and over, use stories and visuals and metaphors that echo your message. Show it in a dashboard, tell it in a story, reinforce it one-on-one. Think like a jazz musician. Same melody, different instruments. Step number 3, build repetition rituals. Edgar Schein, the father of organizational culture, taught that culture lives in rituals. So bake repetition into how your team operates. Start every meeting with a 60-second reminder of your strategic priorities. Some organizations call it a mission moment or a strategy moment, where someone connects their work to the bigger mission. You can also try the 3R review, where your team reviews how their work relates to the strategy, what needs to be realigned, and what resources they need. Relates, realigned, and resources. You see, repetition doesn't have to feel forced. It can feel embedded. Step number 4, measure message penetration. You can't manage what you don't measure. So instead of assuming people understood, ask them. Ask your team, what are top 3 priorities for this quarter? If the answers differ, your message needs reinforcement. Researcher Mary Welch suggests measuring communication on 3 levels: awareness, understanding, and commitment. So it's basically saying, have you heard it? Do they get it? And do they believe it? Your communication strategy should strengthen all 3. Step number 5, democratize the reminding. The most powerful reminders don't just come from the top, they come from all over. James Spillin's research on distributive leadership shows that messages gain power when they're shared by multiple voices. Equip your leaders and your influencers with the same language and talking points. When everyone from directors to frontline leaders reinforces the same narrative, alignment becomes contagious. So you don't need a megaphone, you need a choir. And lastly, you need the courage to be boring. You see, if we're honest, repetition can feel boring. And as leaders, we love innovation. We don't love redundancy. And for a lot of us, we stop sharing our message because we are tired of hearing it. And we say to ourselves, well, if I'm tired of hearing it, I'm sure they're tired of hearing it. But the reality is that when you as a leader get tired of hearing it, your people are just hearing it. Michael Porter's research on strategic consistency reminds us, discipline beats novelty. This also goes back to Jim Collins' flywheel effect, where he says small, consistent pushes in the same direction create unstoppable momentum. So if you're not slightly tired of saying it, your people probably haven't heard it enough. Boring isn't bad, it's effective. Now, I get it. It's a paradox. In a world where information is infinite and attention is scarce, true clarity is the leader's rarest and most valuable asset. You can't outsource it. You can't automate it. You have to embody it. So being the chief reminding officer doesn't mean you're repetitive. It means you're intentional. You're translating vision into rhythm, and repetition becomes your leadership drumbeat. So the next time you think, I've already said it, remember, you're not competing with silence. You're competing with noise. And repetition isn't redundancy, it's resonance. Because great leadership isn't about what you say once, it's about what your people remember every day. So step into your role as the chief reminding officer and keep reminding until clarity becomes culture. Thanks so much.